we buried it because everybody knows, but Oklahoma City did win a championship. And when I look at their roster, they had toughness. Jalen Williams is a tough guy. Chet Holmgren's a little lanky, but he was banging down low. Even Alex Caruso was showing heart. I mean, Dort, Hartenstein, these guys, when I look at their roster and I look at ours and I go position by position, you start talking skill, and we have the skill of most of the people on their team outside of SGA. I think he's enough, even though Mitchell is an MVP candidate, SGA I think is still enough higher than him that you say, okay, they got the best guard.
Valid.
The rest of I mean, is Chet better than Mobley? No, but Chet's tough and Mobley's hurt. Like I literally think that the toughness is a big deal. What do you guys think about the comparison of the Cavs to what we saw at Oklahoma City when they were winning the championship?
If you want to compare the Cavs, I mean, you can't, because one team's the NBA champions, the other team tucked their tail and lost in 5 games. If you want to give OKC their flowers, I think we 100% should, because they are the deserving champions this year. They were the best team in the regular season. They were the best team in the playoffs. People want to try to do it's a Mickey Mouse ring or whatever type of rhetoric you see out there on all of the different socials.
Of Hallie?
Yeah, well, because Hallie got hurt, because there was injuries on the other side. Remember, Curry got hurt, so they didn't have to play them.
That's sports, man.
It is.
Exactly.
And if this is a Mickey Mouse win, the Celtics last year most certainly was.
Right, exactly.
Like, the Celtics draft last year was the easiest I've ever seen to a title.
If there is one thing I absolutely hate about the NBA fandom compared to some of the other leagues, is how as soon as a team wins, if there's any type of diversity that doesn't have to do with their team, say a Tyrese injury or the Curry injury, any of the examples I used, automatically every NBA fan doesn't count. It's like a fourth of a ring. Or if a team adds a KD, yes, when I was younger, I was like the KD ring with the Warriors didn't count. It counts.
Yeah.
You are a NBA team that put it all together and went 82 games plus 16 plus however many you didn't, sweep in a series. Stop with the damn rhetoric about Mickey Mouse rings and this, that, and the third.
I agree.
John, were
I
you
do
laughing
think
at
he
the
meant
same thing I was laughing at?
Yeah, I was gonna say he meant adversity, not diversity.
Diversity.
That,
I'm
I agree.
like, what does being more diverse?
Diversity as it.
It's like Chet Holmgren and Hartenstein are both white. What are you talking about?
I definitely meant adversity there.
On the screen, I locked eyes with John. I felt like we just had a moment. Like,
I was like, I'm gonna let him cook because he's making great
points,
but I'm coming back to this. We don't let English slide on this show very often. I agree with Chris on that too. I think OKC would have won even with Hallie. I do feel
I don't know. It was a 2-point game at half.
Oh, it was. I'm not saying I would. We'll never know. I'm just Oklahoma City. Like Noah said, they've been the best team all season. They're the best team all playoffs. They're the best team in this series. Maybe that changes in one game on the road for Indy, but
give them their props for sure. As Noah said, give them their flowers. But for me, this finals came down to 2 things. Number one, Seattle's fan base deserves a team again. I know I keep saying like the Supersonics won it or Kevin Durant was drafted by the Supersonics, but they really deserve to have that team back, and having family there, they're a passionate fan base. But number 2, this will forever, it doesn't take away from OKC, but this will forever be the finals of what if. That was such a bad injury at a bad time.
It's terrible.
I can't imagine being the Pacers fan base right now. I mean, it's the Cavs in 15, but worse.
I was going to say the same thing, man. Chris saying Hartenstein's dad is black and he's mixed I told you learn something new every game. You could have knocked me over when I read that with a feather. I had to verify, but Chris seems to know his shit. So
Christine is in fact a ball knower, so I will take her word for
that's
face
what I said.
value.
I'm gonna trust her on that one. But I agree with you, Eric. I felt a pit in my stomach when I saw that replay, and I'm not a Pacers fan.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting to that point and seeing your star player go down in that moment? Like, I know we have bad luck in Cleveland. We've seen some really gnarly shit in terms of sports in our day and bad luck, but that was brutal. Like, brutal. And it's so – if it was Curry on Golden State when they still had, like, Durant and Draymond and Clay, and you're like, hey, we got an 8-year window. We missed one, but we'll be around for a while. Indiana might never even make the finals again. Like, the East is so – there's so much parity. There's so many good – they could, but I just mean, like, when the Celtics with Tatum, you're like, you already got one. You'll be good for another few years. I feel like this Indiana team could have looked back and go, well, now the Cavs got Kevin Durant. And they're going to win the Eastern Conference for 4 years in a row because they re-signed him. Or Orlando's going to take the next step and sign up. There's just so many teams who could be good. Boston gets healthy. Philly could one day figure it out. Like, it's just
I will say too, the trash NBA fans that root for that or get excited over an injury, I don't care who it is. You know, I'm no lover of the Dodgers, for example, but if I saw Shohei go down and they missed the playoffs or whatever,
right,
I would be excited about the Dodgers missing the playoffs, but not in that fashion.
Agreed.
So I think you need to really check yourself and look in the mirror because it's such a disgusting, like, I don't care who it is. I hate Draymond Green, but I don't want to see that injury happen to him. It's just, I don't know. Seeing some of the comments of that.
I do think most people get it though, because I remember Chubb suffered his knee injury on the road at Pittsburgh and got a standing O, and they were chanting his name and he got rolled out. And I remember when Ryan Shazier got hurt for the Steelers, and we weren't sure if he was going to live, let alone play football again. That's our probably most heated rival and the team that we hate the most. And even in those moments, like most people have common sense. Like the thing about social media that sucks is like the vocal 3% that actually make the comments make us think that way. And 97% of people are not rooting for Haliburton to snap the Achilles in Game 7 of the finals.
No, that's fair. I agree with that.
The one thing I wanted to add on that too with the Chubb thing is I just wanted to double down on the sentiment. Not that it is completely on topic, but I had friends at that game that were like texting me, like Steelers friends who were like, dude, it's bad and we're sorry because wow. Going back to the injury though, and kind of my overall thoughts, Tyrese Haliburton having that injury and how close that game was up until, midway through the third, I think.
Yep.
I really think it would have been anyone's game. And while I do think that OKC deserves the ring and there's no reason to have the rhetoric of a Mickey Mouse championship or a 1/5 championship or whatever stupid things you can see on the internet, I think we were in for a hell of a Game 7. Not that it wasn't. It kind of dwindled off at the end, but the first half of that game was still good. Now imagine Haliburton being there and his clutch self shooting threes on his hobbled leg and not giving a single flying fuck. I mean, we were robbed of some cinema, in my opinion.
We were robbed. And the ratings were there and people were ready for it. As the highest rated, I don't remember if it's the highest rated NBA Finals game. Yeah, highest rated NBA Finals game in like the last 7 years.
What, the Cavs?
No.
Or this one?
Yeah.
Over Game 7 of Cavs Warriors? I guess that wouldn't be within 7 years.
Yeah, it was more than 7 years ago. Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Which, for all the rhetoric about how small the markets these are, that nobody wants to see it. Nobody gave a shit about Boston last year if we had higher ratings for Pacers OKC. So I kind of like it. Speaking of high ratings and high flying players, what do you guys make of all these damn Achilles injuries and playing hurt and stuff? Like, we talked a little bit about it with Darius, but Haliburton's was brutal. Tatum's was brutal. Dame Lillard was out with the same thing. There's this whole like playing on a strained calf. Is that part of the problem? Like, does the NBA need to do something about these strained calf injuries? Like, what did you make of that?
No, I think this is a non-story. I think we see it because it's so prolific. But I'm not sure that we're seeing any more Achilles injuries than we always have. I mean, Kobe went down with an Achilles injury years ago. I think it's we talked in the group chat and John, you had brought up specifically that you can build muscle, but those ligaments and the fibers, the switch fibers, things like that you can't just grow like you would muscle, leads to these injuries. Basketball is just one of those sports where you stop on a dime and the push off, it's different than other sports. I don't think it's endemic or like changing in the sport though. It sounds like maybe Noah thinks.
I think it's becoming the modern ACL of injuries. We've seen it everywhere in different sports, whether it be Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and then obviously countless NBA examples at this point. To me, I think it's lesser than a non-story. I think it is, or more than a non-story, I should say. I think it's one of those type of things where it's almost like you have a shelf life and eventually it's going to snap, especially if you're a shifty guard or, a bigger dude that's heavy on yourself, with not the right muscle build up your entire life, because when you're taller, you're typically really scrawny.
Sure.
That
I
being
didn't get
said,
that
though,
memo, but go on.
well, you're like average taller. I'm talking 7 foot tall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. So I think there's gonna be more of a focus on, calf strains and resting players. I don't know if it's gonna be something crazy. I've heard 2 months out there or something like that. But just like nursing it for nursing's sake, especially in the regular season, because my opinion of the regular season has gone to the absolute shitter after the Cavs lost. I don't know, man. It seems like it's becoming more of an issue. You're talking about 3 big name players all going down with the same injury in the playoffs.
Answer me this, though, does calf strain lead to, are you just putting more force and weight on your Achilles at that point to make up for the calf strain? Like, how is that related?
It is related. Now, I'm no doctor, so I can't really give you that answer. I have no clue, if I'm being honest, but I know
But you played college
is related.
football.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I wanted to mention it since you didn't today, but no, my point is you've been around like trainers and stuff. We keep hearing that that's related. I'm just wondering how. I'm mainly
I don't know
giving
if
you
it's
shit, but
no, I know. I don't know if it's a severity thing or like severity of a strain, and that's when I don't know the exact answer, but they are correlated. I do know that.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the middle of you guys. I don't think it's a non-story. I don't think it's a headline story. It's definitely something to keep an eye on. And here's why. If it becomes a more prevalent injury, modern medicine and modern sports medicine are so good at getting ahead of this stuff and being preventative and taking maintenance and care of these athletes that we could see something in the future where you say, hey, man, we had a ton of these calf strains that led to Achilles snaps. They may be able to do something to prevent it. You see it with everything from the type of spikes they use to the type of turf they play on in the NFL. So soft tissue injuries, just there's a lot of therapy and treatment you can get if you know that NBA players are more prone to Achilles tears. There was no such thing as Tommy John surgery until somebody said, damn, this is happening to pitchers a lot. We got to figure out a way to fix this. And now it's something where you're used to be done for your career, and now you might be out for a season. So like I said, I don't think you burn everything down and go, we got to stop the chaos, but I don't think it's a non-story. I think it's something to definitely keep an eye on and that the NBA should have a policy on if it continues to persist.
For sure.
So according to an article on ESPN, these injuries, these Achilles injuries, are coming from overuse and athletes putting emphasis on upper leg strength, but the lower legs not being strengthened accordingly to keep up with it. And when talking about Haliburton, the doctor said it's like tug of war and rope broke, which is interesting.
That makes sense.
Interesting indeed. It makes sense, but
I think anybody who's watched the Achilles snap in slow motion could have come up with the tug of war and the rope broke analogy on their own. It's exactly what it looks like.
It gives me chills seeing that because you can literally see it happen. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of watching injuries in general, but
nope. There've been some really, really bad ones over the years too. I remember the Alex Smith one. It was like, how many times do we show it? And I was like, oh, one, please God, not again.
I agree.
So it is, I was right about that though. It's about, calf strain leads to kind of using those muscles differently. So you're just,
it puts other stress other places. That's one of the worst ways. I screwed up my back when I was on vacation, and what hurt worse was my thigh. I know, here come the old man jokes. I screwed up my back on vacation. It was an old college injury, and what hurt worse after 3 days was my left leg, because the change in the walk that I had made was putting too much pressure on my left, which made my leg hurt worse than my back hurt. So it sounds like one of those things where it's just like, yeah, your body is compensating for the issue that it already has by putting force elsewhere, which leads to these Achilles injuries.
It doesn't surprise me.
No, I hope they figure it out because a year without Haliburton and Jason Tatum, as much as I hate Jason Tatum, I hate him for on the court basketball stuff. I would never hope he got injured like that either. So,
Amen.
we will see. They changed the whole rule about quarterbacks based on a few quarterbacks getting hurt. We'll see what the NBA is up to as time.
One
time
quarterback. Tom
Yeah,
Brady
sure,
took that hit, and that was all it took.
Yeah.
They did not want Matt Castle on their screens more than a year.
No.